Welcome to everyone as you're coming in. We're just going to give everyone just a moment to get connected. Welcome. We hope you're having a good day so far. We're so glad to see everyone.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah, and I'm one of the founders. You just heard from Heather. She's the other director and founder at Lotus and Ivy, and we just want to welcome you to our Compliments Open House. So we just had our two main lesson open houses this past Sunday. And if you missed it, the videos are on the homepage of our website. So if you just go to lotusandivy.com, you'll be able to watch those. So tonight we're going to do it similar to what we have done for our other open houses. The main event is to hear from our teachers. So we want to get to that part very quickly. We're just going to start like we start all of our main lesson classes, and even our compliments classes also usually start with a short verse. So we want to start our event like that tonight. So please join me in saying our verse. May wisdom shine through me. May love glow in me. May strength penetrate me. That in me may arise a helper of humankind, a servant of sacred things, selfless and true.
All right, so we're not going to spend a whole lot of time, but just wanted to give you all just a brief program overview. As Sarah said, I'm Heather Parrish, the other director and founder at Lotus and Ivy, and it is my pleasure to welcome each of you here this evening. And of course, our big event for the evening is for you to meet our wonderful compliments teachers. So just to give you a little bit of information about Lotus and Ivy's whole program, we offer 3 different types of classes. We offer main lessons, we offer skills classes, which are language arts and math classes, and then we offer compliments. And the compliments are what we're highlighting this evening. So all of these teachers who you see here tonight are our compliments teachers. Now that doesn't mean that's the only thing they teach, because some of our teachers are multi-talented. So they teach other classes for us as well. You all can see here and read all of the different compliments that they're going to be chatting with us and teaching us about this evening, but we do have a couple of new classes that I will take a quick moment to point out. We are introducing cooking for all classes, 1st grade through 8th grade. We have a new citizenship class for our 5th and 6th graders, where we have ukulele for our middle schoolers, and we're going to bring back all of those exciting favorites from our current program year. So without further ado, we are going to begin introducing our wonderful compliments teachers. The first one that's going to speak this evening is Miss Corinna Roselli.
Hello, everyone. My name is Corinna Roselli. Thank you for the introduction, Heather. I am a theater teacher of 14 years. I have a BFA in Performing Arts, a master's in educational theater, and also a Waldorf credential as well. But tonight, we're going to talk about the compliments classes. We have an exciting lineup of creative speech and drama classes for next year, starting with our 1st graders and all the way moving up to our 8th graders. And we'll just talk a little bit about what we're going to do in our classes. So in creative speech for 1st and 2nd grade, we lay the foundation for dramatic work in this course. We focus a lot on our formative speech work. So we're doing articulation exercises that are just filled with story. We work on cooperative storytelling and guided dramas, and also poetry. And everything is steeped in an image that the kids can easily grasp and they want to bring to life. This course focuses on building our imagery and imaginative skills through the spoken word, and showcases truly how words, they shape us. They drive a narrative and they affect ourselves and other people. It's a really powerful course filled with a lot of play, and it's just a lot of fun. This is a 1-semester course, and it will be next year too, and it's a great introduction to the work that we do in the older grades. So starting in 3rd and 4th grade, we move into a little bit more of a formalized theatrical experience. We're still focusing on our formative speech work with tongue twisters and vocal exercises. And then at the end of our year together, we put all the work that we did in our dramatic work into a class play. And each character, I mean, each student will have an individualized character that they work on over the course of about 10 weeks on this play, and then we'll present it to our families and friends. Our focus for the class is clear, expressive speech. That's what we're driving for in that third and fourth grade class. And with that foundation that we had through creative speech in first and second, through speech and drama in third and fourth, just keeps carrying us on to fifth, sixth, and seventh grade theater and speech classes. In those middle school years, we focus more into work with the dramatic. So we're really working on character-based work. How can we show character through our voice, through our bodies, and our imaginations? Those three main factors of what makes an excellent actor. They engage in all three. And in both classes, the fifth and sixth class and the seventh and eighth class, we do a lot of small group work. We do a lot of large group work. And within those different settings, we work on different projects to keep honing those skills in those three main areas. And this year, for the 2024-2025 school year, our middle school drama classes are going to be year long. So we get to really spend the time that we need to make our theatrical work really resonate with ourselves and be something that we're really proud of. I have high hopes for our middle school students this coming up year. I really want to get them to write and engage with the writing process to let their voice be heard in a performative space. I'm hoping that we can do that with our groups. And we'll also continue to do works that are steeped in classic literature and world tales. To give you an example of what we did this past year, our fifth and sixth grade students, they performed a short skit from Chaucer's Canterbury Tales, and our seventh and eighth graders performed comedic scenes from Midsummer Night's Dream by William Shakespeare, and we had a fabulous time. We had so much fun bringing those characters alive, using our Zoom screens to almost interact with each other through the Zoom sphere when you're looking at another box next to you. It's really fun to play with Zoom and make drama come alive because you can actually do some really magical work with the platform. So I hope that that gives you a great snapshot of what's to come in creative speech and drama. Our course is open to any age student, no matter their experience. If your child feels like they can't take drama because they've never done it in person, that's not an issue. Come to our drama class. This is a great introduction, and maybe it will inspire them to want to do a play in your hometown. I hope it does, and I hope they come and do a play with us soon too. So if you have any questions, please feel free to email me. I would love to talk to you about the work that we do in speech, how that relates to Waldorf education, and how we can make our lives more enjoyable through story and play. Y'all have a wonderful night.
Thank you so much, Ms. Roselli. Next, we have Ms. Joan Schmidt.
Hi, I did unmute myself, so let me see. Yeah, okay. So I'm Vivian Joan Schmidt. I live in Charlottesville, Virginia, and I have been teaching Waldorf education for longer than I can remember almost. And so I've taught everything from first through eighth grade. I have taught in one of my eighth grades, we did the entire Midsummer Night's Dream, and it was magical. So I've done all of this teaching, and now I'm finally getting to concentrate on something that is a true love of my life. I've always studied and worked with visual arts, and this next year I'm going to, well, right now and next year I'll be teaching eighth grade art second semester. My goal in the class is to give children an experience with various types of media. You know, you can, and it's one thing to say you want to express yourself in this way, but you do have to have the tools. You have to develop the skills within yourself. And so I try to find a balance there. We start with Chinese brush painting because in the eighth grade, the students study the geography and culture of the Far East. And so that's what we've done so far. We just finished our brush painting block, so I can show you some of the things that we did. We started out with little animals. We did snakes and lizards and mice and cats, and they made their own scenes with these little creatures. We studied, we learned how to draw birds, and we went on then into mountains and trees, you know, a nice landscape. And we even ended up both with the landscape and with some calligraphy practice. This particular character means forever, which I think is very appropriate for 8th grade. So, and of course they think nothing lasts forever, except for the awful things that they want to get out of, but it's a character they will remember. So then next, this will make a nice segue into watercolor. The Chinese brush painting we've done only with black and white, with ink and brush. Now we'll go into color with watercolor. And in the rest of the year, we'll work with acrylics. We'll do some clip art like Matisse. And we'll end the year with pastels. I think it would be nice to end with pastels because pastels create a lot of dust, and you can sit outside by that time of the year and do your pastel work. And yeah, it's really a lot of fun. I mean, I have a lot of fun. I hope they do. And I also bring in some art history whenever I can. So I talk to them about artists that I know and love, and show them some illustrations, some drawings and paintings that those artists have done. So I'm really looking forward to working watercolor with the current class, and then starting all over again with Chinese brush painting next year. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Jones-Schmidt. And next we have Miss Vanessa Gimignani.
Hi families, my name is Vanessa Gimignani. I'm so excited that you're all here and thinking about joining our program for next year. I love our complement classes so much that I teach 5 of them. And so that is, oh, can you all hear me okay? Everybody can hear me? Okay. So I teach watercolor classes 1 and 2 are grouped together, and then 3 and 4 are grouped together. And so I'm just going to show you some of the work that we do. And really, I mean, so much about painting, it isn't about what we end up with. It's about the process. And so we talk a lot about reverence for our materials, and I personify Tippy and all his color pools, and his clear pool that he dips into and takes peaceful swims, with a lot of repetition, and reverence. And reverence is something that, you know, is something that we can practice and is really going to bring them throughout their lives, in a really peaceful, serene way. And so for them to have access to that within artistic creativity is just such a wonderful practice. So first we meet the primary colors, and they don't play with each other, and they're all personified through story. I tell a story at the beginning of every class, and actually everyone shows their painting from the week before, and we have to find at least one thing that we love about our painting. And so the students get really close to the camera and they go, do you see this one spot where purple played with blue? Or sorry, where red played with blue, and they got purple. And so they're looking for the good in something that might have been accidental. And I just love that. So so this is still some first and second grade art, you know, and then the colors learn to play together in straight lines and curved lines. And then secondary colors, we kind of talk about bridging the gap between 2 maybe unknown groups of people, you know, so there's analogy and metaphor in all of these. This was the one that we did last week, the sun, tomatoes, and other circles, which was very sweet. So they're hearing characters who are teaching them stories. Yep, this is some 3rd and 4th grade work. And then we get into a little bit more detail and we practice lifting. And again, this is all through story, and we're all doing this guided together. This is the one that we did last week. The color looks a little bit washed, but this is from Norse mythology. We heard a myth about the Norn sisters in the Well of Erd. And then every fourth week, we do 4 little mini paintings. And the goal of this is for children to turn them into postcards and send them to each other or to anyone else that they'd like. And so that's nice because it gives them the freedom to practice with and play with some things that maybe they wouldn't otherwise have the opportunity to do. Here are some other paintings that we've done in class as well. I also teach form drawing to cursive. And forms are a wonderful introduction and a way into cursive. And so again, we meet these through story. And we practice a lot of symmetry and flipping things over multiple lines of symmetry and practicing different shapes, and how these turn into cursive is they really have a really wonderful introduction into cursive. And so we're looking at forms that then, making these forms, would you look at that, really make the cursive uppercase B and lowercase b. And the C and all these things. So that's a very fun class. We use sand trays to trace things and chalkboards and whiteboards to practice things, and it's really lovely and wonderful. And the last 2 classes that I teach are cyber civics, grades 7 and 8. And this curriculum was written by a Waldorf teacher, and I just think it's amazing. So starting in 7th grade, here are some of the things that we talk about. Online safety, searching the web, protecting your personal information, what is public domain, how to cite sources, and how to use Wikipedia. And then in 8th grade, the whole 8th grade, we talk about really media. Sorry, I don't know what my word says there. Media representation and positive participation. So participating positively in the internet and how everything is going online. And so we talk about the effects of media and the effects of the internet, analyzing online information. We talk about facts and research and how to tell what is factual versus what is not fact. Stereotypes, we talk about sexting and ethical thinking inside of that, and the digital future that we are moving towards and how we can kind of see ourselves and our values inside of that. So the compliments classes are a joy to teach. They're so much fun. And I'm also teaching ukulele next year, which I'm so excited about. So come join us and have fun with us. And thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Ms. Gimignani. Next, we have Ms. Karen Smith.
Hi, I'm Karen Smith. I am Lotus and Ivy's hand sewing woodworking complement teacher, and also I'm teaching cooking complements for the first time for 1st through 8th grade. After I received my Waldorf Early Childhood teacher training at Sunbridge, I was a mixed age Waldorf kindergarten teacher for 17 years at a brick and mortar Waldorf school in Decatur, Georgia, where I live. And I joined Lotus and Ivy in 2021, and I'm tickled that I get a chance to spend time outside of my kindergarten main lesson classes with students who are eager to use their hands to create wonderful handcrafted treasures and delicious things to eat. I found that including hand sewing and woodworking and cooking in my classes helps to instill important qualities like patience and focus and grit in students. And in today's fast-paced world, these qualities are rather difficult for children to develop. So with hands-on projects that take days or weeks to complete, students are able to practice and improve their skills with various materials and tools. And since our main lesson classes time is limited, these complement classes provide children with additional opportunities to practice and refine their emerging hand skills. And because my time with you today is limited, I'd like to show you some examples of the woodworking and hand sewing projects that my students have created or will create in the coming semester. And I'll do this by sharing my screen, and then I'll share a bit of the programs at the same time. So let me do that screen share thing. Okay. Oh, press the go button. There we go. All right. So teaching students to make beautiful and useful things with their hands is a fundamental element in all of the Waldorf curriculum from kindergarten through the grades. And through practical, meaningful hand skill activities, children develop strength and coordination in their hands and fingers. And in addition, That improved fine motor skill foundationally prepares students for writing and drawing and artistic work that they'll experience in the grade school. Woodworking and hand sewing are more than just fun activities for children. They also offer a profound impact on their development. Research suggests that woodworking in particular can enhance a child's self-esteem, self-confidence, sense of accomplishment, and that can-do mindset by allowing them to do work with their hands that creates something tangible. Additionally, handcrafts foster a child's creativity and respect for the value of hard work, craftsmanship, and the makers of the world. As an online teacher, I've personally witnessed some of that same positive transformation in the mindsets of my students. The foundational hand skills the students learn build from one project to the next in my complement classes. Their willpower and fortitude to learn new techniques while working through unexpected and inevitable challenges along the way will increase. And by the end of each session, your child will be able to approach future projects of their own creation with capable confidence, enthusiasm, and improved craftsmanship. Now, you may wonder, how can you possibly teach hand sewing and woodworking through a computer? And I admit I was a little worried about that too when I started in 2021, but I have been utterly impressed with the quality of my students' projects, and their parents have shared with me how positive and impactful complement classes have been for their children as well. I can offer individual assistance as needed during class, and especially when photos are submitted to me regularly by parents, I can offer additional one-on-one support and advice through electronic messaging. My compliments for the younger grades rely on adults to be my long-distance hands. So you'll need to plan to be accessible for your child at every class for assistance and safety reasons. Because especially for woodworking, we're using real tools. We're using a pull saw and a rasp and a hand drill. And all of these must be handled responsibly and with focus and concentration, which you will be able to assist with on your end of the screen. I should also mention that the cost of supplies and tools needed for woodworking classes in particular are perhaps more expensive than the cost of the complement tuition. But the purchase of real tools that can be used by your child for years to come may even be the foundation for a lifelong hobby or a trade. That said, I believe it's important to work with what you have available as often as possible. So when you receive the supply list for my classes, especially for woodworking, if you already have tools on hand, please use what you already own. Saving money on supplies is something I encourage in all of my classes. I'm always telling my students, you never know where Miss Smith will show up. And so I'm really excited to share that I will be teaching cooking complements for multiple grades next year. I will pick up that culinary baton that Miss Guthman, who started our very first Lotus and Ivy cooking complement this spring, will pass my way. I'm still working on planning recipes and curriculum for those classes, so of course I don't have photos to share yet, but for class 3 and 4, I will encourage students to grow some herbs of their own so that we can use them in the dishes for a bit of that farm to table experience. And for classes 5 to 8, those students will be encouraged to learn and share interesting facts. Oh, let me stop that sharing real quick. They'll be encouraged to share interesting facts about ingredients or cooking techniques or cultures around the world from where our recipes originate. And as with all of my complement classes, safety is super important. So we'll cover that at the beginning of each session. And students can expect to strengthen and expand their cooking techniques and baking skills, which will be developmentally appropriate for the age of the students. And we'll create our own recipe binder. I'm really excited about that. And we'll fill it with recipes that we cook each week. And each complement class will have a different set of recipes that the students will learn and prepare. So your students' binder could grow quite full if they enrolled in multiple cooking classes over the years. My goal is to foster each child's independence and creativity and confidence in the kitchen by introducing practical skills that they can use in their everyday lives, including cleaning up after recipes have been prepared. And the lucky parents of the cooking students will, in some of the classes, will even anticipate a few nights that their child will prepare the family meal. I mean, doesn't that sound amazing? At the very least, you'll have another helpful hand in the kitchen. I thank you for considering enrolling your child in my complement classes next year or in the future. I am confident that your child will enjoy learning how to prepare tasty dishes, and the woodworking and hand sewing classes will allow them to create treasured handcrafted objects that can be played with today and cherished for the years to come. Have a lovely evening.
Thank you so much, Ms. Smith. Next, we have Ms. Maya Lubitsch.
Hello, hi. My name is Maya Lubik, and I am practical arts teacher here at Lotus and Ivy. I really enjoy sharing my love for arts and crafts here to the students from 3rd till 8th grade. And I have been teaching here at Lotus and Ivy for 2 years now. But otherwise, I have experience over a decade of any kind of three-dimensional crafts and arts that I really also enjoy doing myself. My education is in graphic design and in ethnology and anthropology, then also in photography, and I majored with fine arts. And my love for Waldorf educations really deepens each year, and I can relate to the homeschooling families since my son is also visiting Miss Smith's class, and we really enjoy that very much. So I will share my screen just to give you a little idea of what we are doing at our class. And starting with a simpler projects of needle felting in the 3rd and 4th grade. We are using cookie cutters just first to get a feeling of those sharp needles and to be very kind of very gentle and slow with working on them, and then students will advance to more and more kind of challenging and complex projects. But anyway, needle felting, it's such a relaxing way to just do this repetitive movement with very little of materials needed, just wool and felting needles. And these are all the projects of my 3rd and 4th grades. We're also working on any kind of seasonal festivals and themes, but this next year we'll be working mostly on animal adaptations, and the new part of this class will be that we will also work on recycling materials a little bit, changing them, shifting them up to something else, getting them a new life. And for our 4th and 5th and 6th grades, we are already going to a bit more complex shapes. All of these are needle felted, and we introduce wet felting as well. So here the wings are wet felted, and this is a completely different kind of crafting with making a fabric. And for this 5th and 6th grade, we will call it fine arts of fiber arts. So a lot of different kind of also techniques of fibers will be used. And I'm just showing you a little bit what is all advanced of projects of felting. And this is wet felted, like this one. I just am comparing for different students how different styles come up, right? And so in this next year, we're also doing a little bit of weaving and macrame and different techniques. We will be making some more of a practical items, like this is a little wallet with needle felting, and we will introduce different materials like silk combined with wool. So this is called nanofelting, and just so many things that will come. And here is something that I'm really excited about also for next year, that we will introduce a jewelry making class for 7th and 8th grades. And we will use humble materials, but those fingers will really work on getting those complex shapes, and a little bit of techniques, of course, will be learned at first, and then later students will also have free hands to create their own designs with natural or some of the wire materials or clay. All right, so this is just a little bit about what we will do next year. Like really, my classes are really hands-on, and I think that students are enjoying that so much, and I'm enjoying that with them. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much. Next, we have Ms. Audrey Brown. You're on mute, Ms. Brown.
Sorry about that. I want to take Ms. Lubjek's classes too. They look very exciting. I have been teaching handwork classes this year with first grade knitting. I've been helping Ms. Mansouri out, and we're just making a rainbow ball. So this is my colorful piece that I have to show you, but I won't talk too much about first grade knitting. What I will be teaching again next year is doll making. And I love the opportunity to teach this skill that takes such a great sort of perception and beginning to form judgments. So when we make the doll, the human form, it really corresponds with the 6th grade curriculum in studying anatomy of the human being. And so here we take something that's flat, a piece of fabric, and we bring it to life by making it 3-dimensional. And so it's just like this experience of the growing and developing human being that the child gets to have with wool and cotton, warm materials. It's very disciplined. It's a step-by-step process. And so the student must make many judgment calls about what comes next. Is the arm, is the face proportional? Are the eyes set in the right place? Are the arms and the legs in proportion to the body? So we make a head, and we make a pattern based on the size of the head. And then they are continuously asking themselves, what is needed next? As they develop this capacity for judgment in a non-threatening environment. So it's a really nice exercise for the children of 5th to 6th grade to really explore questions like that in a safe manner. I am traveling right now, so I don't have a beautiful finished doll at the ready to show you, but I do have one picture that I can share with you of dolls in process on the screen. No, not that portion of screen. Let's see. Is it there? No. There they are. Can you see the dolls now? They don't have their hair on them. Can you see them? No? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
We can just see the legs.
Just the
We
legs.
see 4 legs. Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
There we go. There we go.
They don't have hair yet, so they look not quite, all there. The one on the far left is the first doll that we made, the sack doll. And then we moved on to limbed dolls, which are usually 14 to 16 inches. And the students were so excited. They've gotten through these 2 dolls already, and we're on our 3rd doll, which is amazing to me because I think that in Waldorf schools, oftentimes it takes the whole year to make just the limbed doll. So here I have a new doll. I brought some of the materials so this is the inner head and shaping the inner head. And this is another doll that we're working on. It's a little doll with legs that will be able to move. legs and arms that will be able to move. So we're on a more complicated, smaller doll now, and it's very exciting. The students are doing wonderful work and we're having lots of fun. So I encourage you to bring your 5th or 6th grader if they're interested in making dolls. We're enjoying it quite a bit. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Brown. And next we have Ms. Joanna Novosedlik.
Hello, sorry, I had to find my screen with my sound so that I could. Beautiful. I'm Joanna Novosedlik, and I began in mainstream education as a music and arts teacher, primarily, as well as a classroom teacher before I entered into Waldorf teacher training. And coming out of that, I founded and taught my own Waldorf-inspired forest preschool. So it was a beautiful experience of marrying nature and the arts with young children. And I bring a lot of that into what I do here at Lotus and Ivy. I've worked with curative education implications for children in private practice, children who have learning challenges or emotional challenges. So it's a little bit about my background. I'm a musician by trade, a vocal soloist, performance musician, and music teacher as well, outside and inside of Waldorf education. So what I teach here at Lotus and Ivy is primarily music and movement based arts complements classes. So we have HSM, which is healing, sound, and movement based in eurythmy. So you may have heard of eurythmy as part of Waldorf education because it is unique to Waldorf education. And it is intended to be, it has various branches, but in the educational part of eurythmy, it is an expressive movement art form. That is which is originated by Rudolf Steiner, and it uses a system of harmonious body movements to the rhythm of spoken words and music. And that's a nice succinct little definition of what is quite a broad experience of marrying spirit to body, is what I will say. So our human divine beings get to move in all their aspects, and we use various practices within eurythmy to accomplish that. We borrow from different modalities in this version of this hybrid of eurythmy at Lotus and Ivy. So we might use dance-like movements, we might use martial arts movements, brain sensory exercises, which helps us to reintegrate all of our systems and help them work harmoniously together in the brain-body connection. We also use yoga postures and some Dalcroze movement processes, and all of these are aimed at really supporting the holistic growth of the human being. And that is really key to everything we do at Waldorf schools, is really in Waldorf education, is really to create the whole human being and support the proper development of human beings into the future. And just a bit about each of the three classes I'll be teaching. The healing, sound, and movement I teach from grades 1 to 4. They're split into usually 2 groupings by age. And there's also pentatonic flute classes, which I teach for next year will be grades 1 and 2. And then there is a new course, Adventures in Music, which we're initiating here, also for grade 1 and 2 students, by way of introducing basic music skills to children who would like to learn it in a way that doesn't require learning a particular musical instrument. So it sets them up for all the future learning of musicality, not only in music stream, but in all of their education. And I can say a little bit about the other 2 as well. So we have healing, sound, and movement, our version of eurythmy here, and we would use a lot of different types of movements, as I've explained a little bit about here. I hope you can see a little of what I'm doing. We use copper rod exercises, and each type of tool or exercise we use focuses on particular aspects of the developing human. And so my copper rod exercises are going to help me with vestibular and proprioceptive movement, with having a sense of where I am in space, of how do I stand upright in the world, all kinds of applications of all of these processes and all of these ways of learning through the body. We use ball bouncing skills, we use hand clapping games, beanbag exercises. We use, and a very big part of all that we do is experiencing sound through the body, which is the basis for eurythmy. So sound of consonants and vowels, you know, what does an O feel like in the body? Is very different from an ah or an E. So every type of movement, every consonant, every vowel has its quality and has its, how we would say, healing aspect, ability to coordinate the system and balance the system, to help one organ speak to another organ properly, to help the brain speak to the body, to a muscle properly. So all of these things are fundamental to human development and well-being. And they not only touch on the physical, they touch on the whole of human being, the soul aspect, our connection to the planets. What is it, what planets were we born under? What were the position of the stars that have impacted our particular personality, for instance? So a lot of connection to all that what makes us human and divine at the same time. One thing I will say too about the brain sensory end of things, we're finding a lot of deficits in children these days due to various aspects of the environment that impact our health. So we address that in Waldorf education in many ways throughout the grades, throughout the curriculum. And eurythmy in particular supports all of the learning that's happening in those other areas in a child's education, as well as the developmental milestones they would want to meet. In the pentatonic flute class, it's pretty self-explanatory. We call this our pentatonic flute, usually made of wood, because it plays a pentatonic scale, which is also a very unique idea in Waldorf education, that early years, younger children learn first best using a pentatonic scale. So songs that only use 5 notes, even particular intervals between notes, between a C and a G, for instance, or other notes, have a particular effect on the human body, the human psyche, on emotions. And so we would focus on particular parts of the scale and particular scales in different grades and different developmental ages, which is really fascinating to me. In the pentatonic flute courses, we work with music kits where we learn beat, like our heartbeats, we learn musical notation. I'll just show you a little bit of this, one of our materials kit. Yeah, my camera likes to travel. And we learned how to do musical notation actually through this very hands-on, very body learning based, holistic based method. So this is partly a Kodai method. So I've done a lot of training in various music education application processes, and I incorporate I'm an eclectic teacher, so I incorporate a lot of what I've learned from different streams into what we do here in Waldorf education, because there are a lot of similarities that can support what we do here. So I use Dalcroze, Orff, and Kodai in my music education programs. And also Adventures in Music, that is a new program, as I said, where we don't learn to play the flute or a particular instrument, but what we do is we form a foundation of music skills that really apply to all of life. And that those can be used later in a second semester, for instance, to apply to learning the flute, or learning if the child wants to learn the ukulele or other particular instruments, even in private lesson. So I wanted to just mention that whatever I teach here at Lotus and Ivy will always be holistically approached, will always include singing as our foundation of knowing our own voice, knowing our own identity and developing that identity. movement, the joy of having a body to move through, yay, and also a deep connection to nature and how we live as part of the whole of creation. Thank you for your time. Hope to see you and your children in our classes.
Thank you so much. And next we have Ms. Christina de la Pena.
Hi, everyone. Hello, families. I'm so happy to be here. I am new with Lotus and Ivy, and I'm excited to be starting in the fall. I currently work at a brick and mortar Waldorf school here in the United States. I'm finishing my second year as a Spanish teacher to grades 1 through 8, and I also provide a circle time in our early childhood program. And I'm excited to join you next year from Portugal. My family will be moving back to Portugal this summer. So a little bit about myself. I have a bachelor's degree in anthropology, and I'm currently in the process of completing my master's degree along with my Waldorf teacher training at Great Lakes Waldorf Institute and Mount Mary University. So I'm very excited to be doing that. I pull from a traditional foreign language curriculum, the traditional foreign language Waldorf curriculum, and I kind of complement that along the way as well. I'm excited to be teaching grades 1 and 2 together, 3 and 4 together, 5 and 6 together, and 7 and 8 together, as well as a kindergarten circle time. So throughout the grades, we always have story as part of our classes, and we add to the complexity of those as the years go on, as the grades go on. In first and second grade, we'll be looking at basic courtesy, greetings, and personal information about ourselves, the colors, the human body. We'll start with the days of the week and look at animals and nature. I love this part of the first and second grade curriculum because there are so many stories to complement this. We will look at numbers and move into numbers from 1 to 50 or 1 to 100, depending on how fast we grasp those. In the third and fourth grades, we'll continue with stories, moving along with rhymes and poems. We'll take a deeper look at the days of the week and the origin of the names of the days of the week, and we'll look at the seasons and the months and how those fit together. We'll start looking at adjectives in third and fourth grade and simple steps into grammar, and then build on those as we progress into the later years. In fifth and sixth and in seventh and eighth, grammar will get a little bit more complex. We'll look at pronouns and verb conjugation. I like to pull in myths and legends as well to complement what is age appropriate in the Waldorf curriculum along the way. And yes, I'm very excited to be here. I'm sorry that I don't have anything to show you as I'm starting off this year, but I know that in the future, we will have plenty I will have plenty to share with you. So thank you very much, and I look forward to meeting you all again in the fall.
Thank you so much. And next we have Miss Victoria Mansouri.
Hello, everyone. I am coming to you from my couch, which is where I encourage you to do handwork because it's a relaxing thing and something that is also a social thing. So in many of the Lotus and Ivy classes, children are encouraged to stay on mute until they're asked to unmute. And in handwork classes, I encourage it the other way around. I want us to talk together and to socialize as we work. Handwork has been a social activity for hundreds of years in many different cultures. So being mindful of the time, I will show you what we make through the curriculum. Next year, I will be teaching 1st through 6th grade handwork. in combinations of 2 grades, 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6. So in first grade, we often start by making our own knitting needles with dowels and sandpaper and beeswax and a lot of hard work. You have to bring a lot of energy into those hands to polish the needles so that the wax is not taken off by the polishing cloth, but rather melted in, because you've created so much friction and heat that it makes your needles smooth. So once children have created knitting needles, they are very proud of them and can't wait to learn to knit. Everything is taught through story and imaginations. And our first project, in first grade, actually, our only project is a square. And that's because everything is made from a square. So check this out. Made from a square. Here's a little bunny. I can't make a bunny sound, unfortunately. Made from a square. Here's a turtle. Also made from a square. Here's a little gnome. Made from a square. And here's a butterfly. And a little butterfly. Made from squares. We can branch out a little bit into things that are made out of rectangles. So here we have balls, the rainbow ball that we saw earlier from Ms. Brown. A variation on the ball is the pumpkin. Really nice to make in the fall. Now, this moves us into second grade when the children learn how to purl. So I don't know if you can tell the difference in the texture here. The shaded part of the pumpkins are made by purling. So we're moving into a new skill set now in second grade. Oh, I forgot to tell you why everything's made from a square. Sorry, that's really important. So everything is made from a square because we're not only teaching how to knit, but I love going after Miss Smith because she tells all about the things that we learn in handwork and woodwork. Resilience, problem solving, using both hemispheres of the brain to bring both hands to work together in the middle, and flexibility in thinking. So many things made out of the same shape. I like to think that many years in the future, when we might be looking at a shortage of resources and all of our children are running the world, they'll say, oh, it's okay. We know how to make many things out of just one resource. We'll be fine. So flexibility of thinking. All right, moving into second grade. So we want to move out into broaden their inner picture of what they're making. And so now this is a lamb that is knit entirely, but you can see you have to learn how to cast on and cast off in the middle of the project to create the legs for the lamb and the lion. And here we are also going along with the curriculum in second grade, where we learn about the animals and the fables and the different characteristics and how they balance each other. We can also make treasure pouches where here, believe it or not, the front is entirely knit. The back is entirely purled. And then the flap is knit a row, purl a row, which is what we call stockinette stitch. And you can see it is flat. So we're learning how to increase our skills and also how to design. You can see here where everything was square last year. Now we're learning how to make things into different shapes. We can get even more complex with friends. And I have a little girlfriend too, but she's not here. She's off visiting with someone. So your little friends can be gendered as you wish. And we can make little accoutrements to go along with them. My little girlfriend, she has a skirt and she has a scarf too. So you can see, and the children can start to design their own or design with me. I know somebody's here. I saw them. Her son just designed something that he wanted to make himself in 2nd grade handwork class. Here's another example of how the knit and the purl can change to make a really lovely stretch in a hat. Even though we are not ribbing yet. That comes much later. Moving into 3rd grade and the 9-year change, perhaps you have or have not heard about the 9-year change. The 9-year change is when the child has a big step in a sense of independence and autonomy in the world. And so whereas before knitting was created with many stitches on the needle representing the group or the one, the whole, that the consciousness of the child lives into, now they stand more independently. And when you crochet, you have one stitch on the hook at a time. But that one stitch creates a whole. And so the child never forgets that even though it stands alone, it is still part of a whole. We start by learning how to chain and making a belt. So they finger knit first and then learn to use the crochet hook. So they get really good at that basic stitch before they move on to things like a pot holder, a frisbee. I would throw this at you, but you can't catch it. Oh, and learning how to make the frisbee is very difficult because keeping something round and flat means that you have to really gauge your tension, which again is something that I feel is very important for the child going through the 9-year change. They have to feel the vicissitudes of life, which they are feeling very deeply inside, and figure out how to balance that. So if you put too many stitches, add too many stitches as you go around, it becomes wavy. If you have too few, then it bowls, as it does here at the end on purpose. But you want it to stay flat. And so creating something that's flat is, you have to be more mindful. The pattern isn't set like it is for making something like this. You can go by the pattern, but your tension might change it. And I find it interesting that the word that we use for that is called tension, and how that is reflected in the human soul. So again, once you learn how to make something round, you can make all sorts of things. Let's see, what else do we have here? Oh, granny squares. You can create all sorts of wonderful things, putting them together or continuing to make them bigger and bigger. So it goes around and around. I feel like I'm getting redundant here. And you can also make shapes and animals. Crochet is really easy to create things out of, much simpler than knitting. And so the children who, again, have a greater sense of independence can start to create shapes on their own. I have 2 children right now, one who's making a bear and one who's making a kitty that they are designing. Net bag. So moving into 4th grade now. 4th grade, again, taking on more of that independence, and we are piercing the world. We are really here. If you think of the Norse myths and being firmly here on the earth, we take up the sewing needle or the embroidery needle, and we start to embroider. These stitches are complex. They're using far more of your thinking ability. And with this project, the needle case, there are 5 required stitches, and then the children get to choose their other stitches on their own. And then this is something that they can use lifelong. This is mine that I use. And this is one created by a student of mine. And I often, my online students, I ask them to practice first. They have a piece of practice cloth before they put it on their final. And they will often say, when I say, are you ready? And I think they're ready. And they say, no, I need to practice more, which I find to be very responsible of them. Cross stitch is also an option in 4th grade. And that's really helping to bring them in down here on the earth to do their work in the world. Moving into 5th grade, we return to knitting, but now we have to concentrate to knit in a pattern. You see the ribbing here? And then we're going to learn to knit in the round. This is, I designed this as a primer to what comes next. This is a mug rug or a coaster. And you can see after you've knit the internal part, which happens on just 2 needles, we then put it on 4. Learning which direction you're going, which is something that a 5th grader is learning too. What direction am I going in the world? What choices am I making? Because they get more choices now. And learning to make the right choice is hard and important. And then our final project is making socks. So this sock is in rainbow order, and I'm here you cannot see the change in color from here to here. So it goes red, orange, yellow, green, and then there is blue here, and I can't tell on my screen, but this is indigo and then violet. And each color corresponds with a different part of the sock. So the child in 5th grade is now writing their own pattern book. So they're following a pattern, they're learning to read the pattern on their own. They are becoming so independent that they won't need me. And in the pattern, each part of the pattern is written in the color that corresponds to this particular demonstration sock. Turning the heel is something that's really crucial. You see, we're going one direction and then we're going the other direction, almost at a 90-degree angle. How do you make that change? That's really something significant and not easy to do. I had a student recently who had to do it 3 times before he got it right. But he did. We also have the interior space here that's created by knitting in the round again with the multiple needles. And this, again, is reflective of the child in the 9-year change that has that's gone through the 9-year change, that has that inner closed off space. And then here we have the turn, that major turn that they're about to make towards adolescence. If you're not able to complete 2 socks, because most of us have 2 feet, it's nice to have 2 socks. There is something else you can do. You can make a sock puppet out of your 1 sock. Here, I have another one. And so all is not lost. You've learned those skills. You haven't had the advantage of doing it twice because the second time is easier. And you are so much more independent when you do it the second time. But if you only do it once, you still have a friend to show your success at the end. Now, one of the things I forgot to tell you at the very beginning, I didn't give you my credentials. I'm a Waldorf graduate. I started teaching handwork in 1996 at a Waldorf school, and then I became a class teacher for many years and often did handwork and class teaching simultaneously. I'm now teaching handwork with Lotus and Ivy and have been since its inception. And I also teach at a brick and mortar school, teach handwork there. I have a master's degree that I just achieved this last year, I'm very happy to say, from Antioch University as well. But I just want to say that I only did 1 sock in 5th grade. And then I made it into a sock puppet. So even those of us who become handwork teachers might only do 1 sock, but I can tell you that my students last year completed 2 socks, and I was very proud of them. All right, that's the end for today. See you in handwork class next year.
Thank you so much. Thank you to all of our teachers. I'm sure you're all just amazed at everything that you saw. I'm so happy that we were able to see so much. So thank you for to our teachers for letting us see pictures and actual things that you have made with your students. Well, we quickly want to tell you a little bit about registration for the upcoming year. If you wanted to try Lotus and Ivy out now, you could. We still have 3 more months to go. And we do invite you to register if you haven't and join us mid-year. Some of our classes, they don't lend themselves to being able to join mid-year, but many of them do. So if you're interested in that, please just let us know. Our application is open now for the 2024-25 school year. So if you go to our website, or you can go to lotusandivyenroll.com and you'll see the application. Also on our website, right at the top of the homepage, is our course catalog for next year. So that's where you can see all of our classes, the tuition, the teacher, the dates, the times, in one document, and it's in order by grade level. So please do check that out. We have a $205 application fee for to save your spot, so to reserve your seat in the class. And then the first tuition payment for the year is due on July 1st. And we, Heather and I were both homeschool teachers at one point with our own children who are now older. But so we know how important flexibility is with your homeschool. So of course, I want to mention that all of our classes are a la carte and our tuition is broken up into 10 monthly payments. So we try to do what we can to be flexible and meet the needs of every homeschooling family, because every family has different needs. Maybe you need Spanish, maybe you need handwork, maybe you need main lesson, maybe you need all of it. So whatever schedule is best for your student, that's what you can put together at Lotus and Ivy. Let's see, we also have a grown-up gateway this year, which we're very happy about. It's like a portal that you can sign into. So for those of you who have been with us this year, you know that we email the syllabus for each class, we email you the Zoom links, but wouldn't it be so nice if it was all in one spot where you could sign in, see your student's schedule, and click on the syllabus or the Zoom link or the Google Classroom code for each class. And that's what we have for next year. So we're very happy about that. And more important dates are on our website. I'll put up the important dates here for March. And then let's go ahead and open it up to your questions. I know we had one question in the chat, so we can address that very quickly. And that was for Miss Mansouri. Did you read it, Miss Mansouri? Okay, yeah, you can go ahead and answer it.
Yes, I read it. I typed my answer in, but I'm happy to answer it. The children who in the mixed age classes, especially if there are children who were in my class the previous year, they were the younger in the year before, and now they're the older. They understand that they're at different places and they learn different things. The older ones can support the beginning ones, and sometimes a second grader, for example, is also a beginner, and so they'd be doing the same thing. So it's really more like the beginning and the experienced rather than the first grade and the second grade. The children move at an independent rate, so hardly anyone after the initial learning how to knit is doing the same thing at the same time. They're all doing different projects because some knit more quickly and some knit more slowly. Some knit voraciously. So having them together is really not a problem. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah,
And if it,
thank you.
please let me know.
Thank you. We have another question in the chat and I'll answer that. And then if you want to unmute and ask a question, you can do that or just type it in the chat. So could we hear about woodworking for 4th grade? Thank you for asking this because this reminds us we do have more teachers who live in Europe that could not be here tonight because it is in the middle of the night for them. So for example, Miss Samantha DeLessa, who teaches our woodworking for 3rd and 4th grade. And it is still going to be wood carving for those students next year, but it is on a 2-year rotation. So if you were part of the class this year, it won't repeat the same things that you did this year. It will do another set of projects, but all centered on wood carving. And then I wanted to mention too that Miss Angelica Di Pasquale, who is our German teacher, she has a wonderful new video on our website. If you go to our Meet Our Teachers page, and she talks about her German classes with Lotus and Ivy. She's been teaching German with us since we opened. And this year she's working closely with Miss Smith to bring a German kindergarten circle. So we're so happy about that. And we'll be having more information from Miss Di Pasquale on our website about that. Any other questions?
I see a question about the number of students that we have in classes. And thank you so much to the McGee family for asking this question. We do keep our class sizes small. We have no more than 14 students in most of our classes, but we do have a select few where our height number is a little bit less. That is in some of our lower elementary handwork classes and some of the woodworking and or hand sewing, depending on the age group of the students. So we do try to keep our class sizes small, where our teachers are bonding with the students and able to communicate with them and answer their questions when those questions do arise.
All right, I think we have another question coming. We'll wait just a minute for Anne Marie's question. I think she's typing it.
We can only ask her to unmute, but we can't do it for her.
Yeah, I know. I tried to do that, but thank you, Anne Marie. I know a lot of you here tonight already know our teachers quite well because you are in our program. So thank you for being here. And we are excited about our new classes next year.
If there are any classes that you are really excited about and you believe that your student would really benefit from taking them and you would like to go ahead and get them registered, because these classes, they do have that limited number of spots. So the classes that you see on our class catalog, those are the actual classes that are being offered with the time and the teacher who is teaching them. So if there's something there that you feel your student would really love, we would recommend going ahead now and filling out the application and reserving your student's spot so that they will have that seat already reserved and guaranteed for them for the fall. If something changes over the summer and the first payment, like Sarah mentioned before, is due on July the 1st, if you have a shift in your schedule and that class no longer works for you, you can let us know before July 1st and we'll work with you on how to maybe replace that class with a different one or to update the schedule.
Yeah, for our complements classes, there are a few that fill pretty quickly. And those definitely are painting and drawing, or our wet on wet watercolor paintings. Definitely Miss Smith's woodworking. Heather, let me know if you think of anything. But those, if you're thinking about, those are definitely worth reserving your seat early.
Yes,
So,
sewing and 3-4 woodworking. We're also
yeah.
full early.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So Anne Marie's question was about using Zoom. Are we considering another platform such as Brave Talk? So I wrote that down, Anne Marie. We'll definitely look into Brave Talk. We do spend a lot of time with our Zoom contacts, making sure that it is as safe as it can be. Our teachers are aware of any safety measures that we have. And of course, we have our Zoom agreements for our families. So we haven't had an issue, but I'm definitely gonna look into what you've listed here. So thank you for asking that. Who is teaching ukulele? That is Miss Gimignani. All right, any other questions? We'll say our closing verse and wish you all a good night. If not,
All right, if you all would join me in saying the closing verse. Merry we have met, and merry we have been. Merry we must part, and merry meet again. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you to our teachers and everyone who attended to meet them. And thank you if you're watching after this event. Please be in contact with us and let us know if you have any questions as you go your way and you have a sleep tonight. There may be questions tomorrow. So just know that we are always here to answer your questions, and have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. Thank you.